So we might not be able to use the same VM as last time. So before moving to the actual slides, let me quickly make another VM for this today's work so I can use it. So the last time I only gave around like 25 gigs of space for the VM. So that's where it backfires on me. So this time I will use like 75 just to be the safe side. So that's it. Right. So I'm going to delete the last. I can keep it. That's fine. While it's installing, we can move to today's work. Okay. So in this case, what I'm getting IP address is not from my Wi-Fi router. So you'll have to, if you're using Oracle VirtualBox, do the same. So what you need is actually the adapter should be the bridge adapter. So in this case, it's just using the internal Oracle VirtualBox NAT configuration. That's why I'm getting a 10 dot something IP address. For now, I'll keep this, but it's recommended to switch to the bridge adapter. So if that's the case, I'll quickly switch myself to the correct one. So this is the adapter that you needed. Okay. And this is the installation. We covered all these things, so I'm not going to spend time here. I'll just create my username and password. Everything's going to be test here. We need the SSH server. That's important. And that's it. Right. So we can move to today's work while it is installing. Let me quickly move to the slides. Right. So today we'll start discussing on Docker Compose, and also today might be the last online day that we are doing because the semester is starting in the university, so most probably we'll be able to do some physical sessions as well. The organizing committee will give you update regarding that because I prefer doing the Docker Compose part actually physically because uh, there's lot that you can like do with Compose, but there's going to be a lot of problems that you are going to face when you're working in Compose as well. I will show you some examples today with some activities that we are going to do. You'll see uh, there's a lot of troubleshooting to do when you are working with Compose, but it's a lifesaver when it comes to development environments. So that's why Compose is very important. You will see why Compose is required and what problem it solves with some hands-on experience. So I will give you update regarding what's going to happen. The actually organizing committee will give you update regarding what's going to happen in the next coming few sessions. So there will be maximum another 4 sessions. So I'm planning to do like a long session for Compose physically. It might be around 3 hours. But for those who going to join online, we'll do the arrangements where you can actually join through Zoom like this. So we'll talk about those things later. Right. So the first question is going to be what is Docker Compose because that is the main part in our session today. So Docker Compose is simply, you can say it's a tool for defining and running multi-container Docker applications. It's like, as I told you in the day one, when we are making some sort of application, it's not going to be one service, right? It's going to be a collection of services that's actually going to communicate with each other to give us the service. For example, let's say if it is something like MongoDB, then Mongo Express is a GUI for the MongoDB. So those two are two different services. Those two are two different containers. But to get the GUI for the MongoDB, we need to install Mongo Express. So that's just another example. So with one option, like with the simple approach, we can actually install the Docker containers separately and do the mapping around them. But the problem is when we are installing all the services separately, when we want to restart this entire ecosystem, we have to restart entire, like each and every container separately, which is going to be very annoying when we are doing with when we are working with like microservices architecture, because in that scenarios we have like probably tens of hundreds of services, or you can simply say containers, that communicating with each other. And when we want to restart some services, we have to do it manually, like one by one, which is going to be very time consuming, and it's going to ruin the entire idea of using Docker. So Docker Compose is basically like a solution for multi-container environments where we define the entire service set in a single document or a single place, and we run everything in using one command, basically Docker Compose. So Docker Compose uses a single YAML file, typically compose.yaml, to configure all of the application services, including the networks. When you need volumes, for an example, for different services, you might need different storage requirements. So those are the volumes. So if you want to create different volumes for your different services, you can do all those things as well, which can then be started and managed with a single command. So that is the idea of Compose. So the key concepts when it comes to Compose is, the first one is the services. So each service in a Compose file represents a component of your application. It could be a web server, it could be a database, it could be a cache, or it could be a volume, whatever, which runs in one or more containers. So whatever these things can run on multi-containers. That's the idea. That's the multi-container environment. With the YAML configuration file, that is the next concept, the core of Docker Compose. And it is a declarative file which specifies everything needed to deploy the application, including the Docker images, whatever the port mappings that we did previously with -p, and we mapped which external port should be mapped to internal port. Those things we are going to do the same things here as well. And also, I will introduce you to environment variables. We use -e for that, and also the dependencies and also the storage options. So the YAML file will consist of all these things. That means the images, the port mappings, whatever the environmental variables, and also dependencies and the storage configurations as well. And the networking, if you are basically configuring Docker services individually without using Docker Compose, then you have to configure the networking part as well. You have to create a network, and you have to mention each and every service have to be attached to this specific network. For an example, if we are creating a network with the name, let's say Mongo network, then whenever we run the Docker run command, we have to mention which network this image should attach to. If it is Mongo network, we have to mention, you have to attach to the Mongo network. But when you are using the Docker Compose, it automatically creates you the network. So it creates a single network for all services in the application, allowing them to communicate with each other using their service names as host names. So that networking part is actually automated, somewhat automated, when you are using Docker Compose. So that is a big advantage. And volumes, basically volumes are defined to persist data generated by containers, ensuring that the data remains intact even if the containers are stopped or removed. So with the volumes, you can get the data persistency. That is the main idea of using volumes. So what are the primary use cases? Like, why do we need compose? One of the main reasons when it comes to the industry and also like small scale project is the streamlining. Basically, streamlining the development environment, because uh, when you are working in a team, the problem is if you are using some sort of a development environment, the other person also have to use the same development environment. Otherwise, you're going to say it works on my machine, but it's not going to work. I'm not sure why it's not working in yours. It could be a simple version mismatch. So you have to streamline the development environment. So with this Docker Compose, it will allow developers to spin up an entire or consistent isolated application stack without any problem with a single command, and it's going to reduce significant amount of time and money as well. And also, as I told you, it will enable the collaboration aspect of development. See, it will solve the problem. It works on my machine problem. Basically, it will, if you have the Docker Compose file, you can share that Docker Compose file with the team. And also, since this is basically a YAML file, you can do version controlling for this. That means when you can push this Docker Compose to the GitHub, and once one person changes that GitHub branch, then everyone can actually use that same updated Docker Compose file. And also automated testing. So it provides a convenient way to create and destroy isolated testing environment for automated test suites in continuous integration. So basically in DevOps, in the CI/CD pipeline for continuous integration, this will help out a lot, especially for testing. Because whenever you want to test it something, what you have to do is you have to create a test bench. And with Docker Compose, you can quickly, with one command, you can create a test bench, test your application, and then you can destroy that entire thing and move to a new one. So you have that big advantage. So these are some common commands that that we are going to use today when we are using Docker Compose. But if you go to docs, there's a lot of commands that you can actually use. I mean, learning all the commands, it's up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that head start with the Compose today. So you can just play around with it a little bit. In the physical session that we are going to do some advanced work like creating our own development environment, something like that. Okay. But today I will just introduce you to the idea of Compose and show how to create your own simple Compose file to do some work. Okay. That's the today's goal. But over the time, let's try to make things bit advanced little by little. So go through the documentation. Since everything is open source here, you can actually go through the documentation and get a good idea what type of options and services and the tools that given by the Docker Compose itself. And one more thing, you don't have to install Docker Compose separately. When you install Docker, the Docker Compose will also get installed to your machine automatically. So you don't have to worry about separately installing Docker Compose in your computer or your development environment in this case. So just go through this. When you have time, you can get an idea what are the subcommands and the commands that Docker have. There's a lot, and there are a lot of other features with Docker if you go through the documentation. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I'll just point you out to the direction. When you have time, when you are working with projects mainly, you will automatically learn most of these things. So yeah. So Docker YAML file. So YAML stand for YAML. It ain't a markup language. Okay. So it doesn't have like a like with HTTP we have a abbreviation hypertext markup language likewise, right? But with YAML you don't have like a very meaningful abbreviation. It's a very simple thing. YAML ain't markup language. So that's the meaning of YAML. And this is mainly designed as a very human readable uh, way of making that document. This is very easy to read, and this is very simple, and it is very easy to structure. But there's a big problem here, and something that we are going to face a lot is indentation, because in here we don't have brackets, and what we have is indentation. What other language use indentation like this? Can someone tell me? There's another language that use indentation like this. Can anyone give me example for a language that use indentation instead of brackets? You can use the chat. Any languages that use indentation instead of brackets? So any idea? Python, right? So Python is a good example for that as well, because in Python, we are again depending on indentation. So same story here with YAML. There's going to be indentation, which is going to be a nightmare when you're typing your compose files, because when we are typing it, it's a little bit hard to get the indentation correct. If you're using some sort of a editor, then you are like mostly saved, because with the editors like file editors like Visual Basic or something like that, if you're using something like that, then Visual Studio something, then it's fine. The indentation is done automatically by the IDE itself. But if you are using like text pad or something like that, then you are in big trouble. So in my case, I am basically SSHing to the machine. So when I am typing it, I have to basically nano it and type it there. So when that happens, there's going to be lots of problems. So in a scenario like that, what I'm saying is like what I do is I basically type the compose file, and I just put it into some sort of a LLM like ChatGPT or DeepSeek, and I ask the LLM to do the indentation correctly. Then it will just properly indent it, and then I can copy it and paste it to wherever I want. So that's a trick I do when I'm actually SSHing to the service or the server. But if you are developing inside IDE, then nothing to worry. The indentation part will automatically happen by the IDE itself. So you are saved in that regard. So this is basic syntax of YAML file. You have version where it defines the compose file format, and then the services, images, and ports, and there are a few things. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about it now. But there's another thing that I saw when I was actually preparing the slide set. You don't need the version now. So you can just skip the version, because the Docker Compose syntax got updated a little bit. And in the syntax, in the new syntax, you don't need to mention the version. It will automatically figure out the version for you. So over the time, Docker became very popular. With the popularity, lot of changes also happened. And the Docker Compose syntax also changed a little bit. So I was actually trying to figure out a good YouTube video to recommend you to get a basic idea of Docker Compose. But most of the videos are like 2 to 3 years old. And those videos are actually depends on the old versions of Docker Compose and Docker itself. So I couldn't find like a good YouTube video where I can recommend you to just go through this and get an idea. And I was also looking for good short courses like the one we did with Linux. Same problem. I didn't find a good one that is like well updated with the new versions. So if I find a good one, I will recommend for you to use it. But for now, I don't have a good option to give you. So I will just research through it and let you know. Right. So this is the YAML file, syntax and everything. But now let's move to the actual practical, because that's the important thing. Let's get hands-on experience with working with Docker Compose. Right. So I prefer if all of you can follow along with me as usual. I think my VM should be now up. Let me reboot it. Let me mount the device quickly. Okay, it's removed. And also, you have you have a task to do. I think it was shared among you in the group, where you have to create your own Docker cheat sheet. So in the cheat sheet, you have to mention different commands and how you use it. You have to write it by yourself, and you have to make it a handwritten cheat sheet. That means you can't just generate something and put it to a PDF, put it to a doc, whatever a doc, and generate a PDF and share it. No, you have to write it by yourself, because that's the point of having a cheat sheet. You have to prepare it by yourself. Right. So my machine is all good. Let me quickly do an update. Right. So I'm going to SSH to this machine. I want to find my IP. So here I can see the IP address. It's 192.168.8.225. So that's given by my router, DHCP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to SSH test at 192.168.8. It was 25, right? Okay, yes. And the password is test. Great. Then I'm going to do a quick sudo su. So I'm going to get the super user access, and I'm going to say the password is test. Okay, we are all clear. So I'm going to minimize this. So we don't have Docker at the moment, as you know. Yeah, it's not here. So it's not going to be a challenge. They just say, there's a question. Yeah, no worries, Reshan. As long as it is Linux, as this question arised multiple times throughout the past few workshops as well, it doesn't have to be Ubuntu. As long as it is Linux, you are good, okay? Or WSL. Uh, but most of you are going to use some sort of a Linux distribution. As long as it is Linux, you are good. So nothing to worry at all. As long as you're using Linux, you can carry on whatever the work that you do with me. Okay, that is fine. Let me quickly go to their documentation and quickly install Ubuntu. I think you all remember this. I'm not going to explain anything today, but this is how you do it. So if you already have Docker installed in your machine, and if it is old version, this is what you have to execute first. This will remove all dependencies of Docker, and then you have to set up the Docker repository. So you copy this entire thing and you paste it here. So in my case, I'm going to come. I have my SSH here, and I do this. So this might take some time. Yes. Right. Okay. Now, simply you run this command to install Docker. And yes. Right. So the installation is okay. Just to check whether it's successful, I'll run the command docker version. And now you can see the Docker version is 29.30. And also, if you want to check the Docker Compose version, what you can do is you can just say Docker Compose version. And now you can see it is version 5 basically. Okay. So there are different Docker versions as well. Docker Compose versions as well. And you can see the Docker Compose versions in their documentation here in Docker Compose. So throughout the different versions, there were a lot of changes that they have done. So I will just go through the AI summary here. So version 1 is not going to work. Now it is entirely depreciated. Version 2 and 3 are still in use, but not recommended. Most of the time in the industry, they will use version 3. But version 2 is good if you are like doing a small project by yourself. So throughout the time, there are different versions. Now, as you saw, the current version is 5 point something. You can see this one. It is version 5. So compose specification, this is the latest format when using version 2 or version 5. So the latest one is actually version 5 now. So you can go through their documentation and see what differences happened throughout the versions. You can see the Compose version 1 was mainly Python based, but now it's Go. So you can see version 2 and Compose version 5. There are big differences actually. Once you go through the Compose file structure, you can see there are some changes as well. Like the syntax got changed throughout the time. So that's a big problem, because for someone that's getting into Docker, they are going to struggle a little bit, because most of the old resources, sometimes they are not valid for the new versions, because most of the things got depreciated. That's a big disadvantage getting into when you are getting into Docker in 2026, because most of the resources are based on the old Compose version 1 and Compose version 2. So when I was actually preparing the labs as well for this, that's a big problem that I faced, because most of the publicly available labs are based on Compose version 2. But I wanted to do everything on Compose version 5. So because of that, I had to create everything from the scratch. That's why for most of the labs I'm doing, it takes a long time to prepare it, because I have to develop everything from the scratch, because it's very hard to find a lab that work on Compose version 4. Version 5. Anyways, that's not a big problem. We will figure out everything in the new versions when we are going forward. So anyways, what I was saying was currently we are in the version 5.1.0. Not a big problem. Most of the things we are going to do today will work without any problem, hopefully. So once you do this installation, check whether you have these versions. If it is like few numbers off, that's fine. It doesn't exactly have to be these numbers. As long as it is versions in 2026 and 2025, you are good to go. Right. So let's do a quick lab now. So I'm going to clear everything that I did. Now let's move to Docker Compose. Right. So I'm going to move to full screen. And also I will share you this file now, but you don't have to open this now. Okay. I'm going to share this with you now, but you can start working on this later, because you still don't know how to use this, how to do this. So I'm going to share this now, but wait till I give you the flag, green flag, to start working on this. So this is the lab sheet 2. I'm going to share this with everyone. Here you go. Hope you can see it. You don't need to download this. We'll do this after we do this lab, after I do my part. Right. So my plan is, first we will install MongoDB and Mongo Express as separate Docker commands. Okay. So let's go to the Docker repo. MongoDB, which is this one. Let's search it in Docker Hub and Mongo Express. This is the first time we are working with Mongo. Yeah, this is the one, right? And so simply Mongo Express is the GUI for Mongo. So you will get something like this. Okay. So this is the desktop environment and this is the MongoDB itself, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to install Mongo and Mongo Express separately without using Compose first, and we'll understand the challenges. And then we'll prepare a nice looking Compose file that does the same thing. We are implementing Mongo and Mongo Express, but in a single file, and it will do everything by itself, right? So that's going to be very nice. So first of all, let's check whether there are any environmental variables. So this is the Compose file. I'm not going to touch this now because we want to do it without the Compose. Let's see whether they have any special environmental variables. Yes, they have some environment variables here. So for this is for the Docker. This is for the Mongo. So for the Mongo, we have some environment variables. Where was it? Yeah, this one. So we need to pass values for Mongo database initiation for root username. Okay. And yeah, okay. So the only important environment variables files are going to be the username and password. But since we are implementing this without Compose, we might have to mention the network as well. So the networking part is not going to happen automatically. So we have to mention the network as well. I'll show you how to do it. So this is how you define the environment variables. You use -e and then you mention the username and the password. It's not going to be hard, don't worry. As long as you're following along with me, we can do this easily. Okay, so try to do whatever we are doing with me, along with me. It's easier for you and it's going to be very easy for me to troubleshoot your problems. Right. So first thing first, let me check whether there's any commands running. Docker PS, you can see there's nothing. So let me see whether there's anything that's not running. Nothing at all. So it's a fresh working environment for me. If you're using the same working environment that you used last time, then you might have some thing here, some stuff here. So if you want to remove it, you can simply say Docker remove and mention the container ID and you can remove it from there. So one more thing, I'm going to check the Docker networks. So I'm going to say Docker network ls. So you can see there are 3 networks. These are default ones. So this is network ID, the name and the driver and the scope. So what I want to do is I want to create a Docker network for the lab that I'm preparing now. So because of that, let's create a Docker network. So the command is going to be Docker network create. So if you're maintaining your own cheat sheet, you can write these commands. So these are new commands, I'm pretty sure, because we didn't work with Docker networks before. So these are new commands that we are meeting today. So you can write it in your cheat sheet. Docker network ls to list all the Docker networks and Docker network create. And then you have to mention the network name. So I'm going to say Mongo dash network, right? So this is the name. So I'm going to press enter. Now it's created. You can see that this output is there. So if you again run the command Docker network create, sorry, Docker network ls. Now there should be a new one with a new ID. You can see this is the same ID as this, right? And Mongo network bridge local. So this is what we are going to use for the Mongo and Mongo Express, right? So now the next thing is what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the Docker command. So what you can do is either straight away type here, or if you asked, like when you're learning, what you can do is you can open a text file and write the command there first and then copy it and paste it here. But I'm going to type it here straight away. It's up to you. I will maintain a text file for sharing purpose, so I can share it with you. But right, I will keep a file like this just for the sake of simplicity, so I can share the commands with you. But in your case, I recommend you to type it in a text file first and then copy it and paste it to here, because we are not working in IDE. We are basically, I am basically SSHing to the command line there. So it's a bit annoying to work with. Either use a IDE to do whatever this work, or simply type it in a text file and then copy it and paste it. In the physical, when in the next week or in the next session, I will recommend you few IDs that you can use to do all these things, right? Otherwise, it's going to be very annoying for you to do this in a command line. So in the next one, I will show you how to set up a good IDE for these purposes. Anyways, let's move to our work. So I'm going to say docker run. So either I can run the entire command as a single line like this, or you can just put a / and go to the next line. So they will, the / will not be considered. කියන්නේ / එකක් දැම්මට පස්සේ ඔයාගේ operating system එක හිතන්නේ ඔයා තාමත් type කරන්නේ same line එක කියලා. Even though you go to a different line, they consider this as a single line, right? So / space එකක් තියලා / එකක් දැම්මම ඔයාට ඊළඟ line එකට යන්න පුළුවන්. But the your operating system consider this as a single line, so which is good. Okay, so the reason for me to do something like this is just to make things simpler. Otherwise, I have to type the entire thing as a single command, which is going to be very annoying for you, and it's going to be very annoying for me as well. So because of that, that's why I'm using / Anyways, so the next thing, let's do the port mapping. So in most of the time, since you are working Mongo, let me see what is the default port for Mongo. Are they mentioning it here? Here. This is the default port. So it is 27,017. So this is going to be the default port. So I will do the port mapping from 27,017 to 27,017. That means my local computer 27,017 will be mapped to my Docker container 27,017. So which is 1-to-1 mapping. I will do that. So let me go back to my here, right? So I'm going to say -p and then 27,017 colon 27,017, right? And then if you want to go to the next line, you put a space and then the / and you press enter. Then this is the next line. So still we are in the same line though. Like අපි මෙහෙම අලුත් lines දාලා අලුතෙන් new lines වලට ගියාට operating system එක consider කරන්නේ මේක single command එකක් විදියට, right? And then let's see what are the environment variables that we have to work with here when we are working with Docker. So for the Mongo, okay, I have done, this is for Mongo Express, right? 27,017 is, oh no, this is the correct one. This is for the Docker. This is, so in the Mongo Express, we have to mention the port number of our MongoDB. So yes, this is correct. Okay, the number that I used was correct. It was not wrong. It worked out well for me. Anyways, so you have to go to Mongo. Let's double check whether it is 27,000. I feel like I have done something wrong. No, that's fine. We can work with these numbers because you can see it is 27,017 here. So no problems at all. Right. So you can see it here as well. The MongoDB server is server in the image listens on the standard MongoDB port, which is 27,017. That is the same number I used here as well, 27,017. So we are in the right track. Okay. The next thing that we have to do is I am not going to use this compose file. මේ compose file එක use කරොත් ඇත්තටම වැඩේ ගොඩක් lazy, but I am not going to use it because this one also setting up the Mongo Express as well, but I am not going to use it. I'm going to do it everything manually. So let's see the environment variables here. Environment variables දෙකක් අපි හදන්න ඕනේ. එකක් තමයි මේක, which is Mongo initdb root username. So I'm going to copy this. මේ dash එක ඒ විදිහටම මේකෙත් තියෙනවා. then මම මෙහෙම copy කරා නම් හරි. Copy this and paste it here. And I'm going to change this value to admin just to make it simple. I don't want a long username, right? And then I'm going to press enter. And then the next environment variable is this. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And for the password, I'm going to use the same thing as admin. So the idea of -e is whenever you're setting up an environment variable, you have to use -e and then the environment variable name and the value that you're passing. So in this case, the username and the password, right? Press enter. Next thing is, as I told you, we have to manage the network as well, because when you are doing everything manually, you have to mention the network. So as you remember, I already created a network with the name Mongo network. So I'm going to say /network, and then you have to mention the network name. So if you're using one of the default one, you can simply say bridge or something like that. But in this case, I'm going to use the Mongo network. So I'm going to say Mongo-network. So that was the name that I used, and then /. And then you have to give a name to your service. So I'm going to give a name. Otherwise, they will auto-generate a name. But in this case, I want to use a name that I define by myself. So I'm going to say name is MongoDB. And then the image itself. So you have to copy this name, Mongo. Or if you want to go for a different tag, so you can simply go here and use whatever the version you want. So in the tags, you have the latest, or you can use a different version. It's up to you. I think you all are familiar with what is a tag. So I'm not going to explain what is a tag here. Simply, I'm going to search for Mongo here, and I'm going to run it. So I'm going to go to my terminal here. I'm going to place Mongo, right? So this is the entire config of my, the container, right? So I'm going to press enter. So they're going to say unable to find image Mongo latest. So they will push it, they'll grab it from the repository. So it's like 300 megabytes. Sorry. Right. So this is okay. Let me check whether it is running. It is not running. Let me see why it is not running. Because when you initiate the Docker run command, Docker run -d is for detached mode. Basically, it will run on the background. So when you run this, this command, it should install and it should start running. But now it is not showing here. You can see it is empty. So let me see all the containers. Yes, it is here. It is here, but it is not running. You can see it was created 41 seconds ago, and go and it is exited. Exited means when there is some sort of a problem in your Docker file or whatever the container that you created, when there are some problems, then this exited, it will exit without running. So let me see the log files. So you will have to learn this as well. When you run some sort of a container or when you initiate some sort of a container, you can't always assume that it will work, right? There's going to be situations where it's not going to work. So then you should have the skill set to troubleshoot it. Like, what is the problem? You have to figure it out as well. So let me see the logs and get an idea what is the problem. So I'm going to say Docker logs and then the container ID or the container name. So if you are simply saying, in this case, the name that I gave was MongoDB, so I can just say MongoDB. So in the command, as you saw, I gave the name as MongoDB here. So I'm going to say MongoDB. And now I can see error warning MongoDB 5.0 or above versions requires a CPU with AVX support and your current system does not appear to have that. Okay, so this is going to be a big problem because this is hardware problem. See also this forums. Okay. All right. So seems like this is a problem. Okay. So this is not a problem that I can solve now because the reason is this is a hardware problem where they are saying my CPU doesn't have some sort of a required some sort of a support, right? So this is like some sort of virtualization problem because I'm running my operating system on Oracle VirtualBox and my CPU definitely does have AVX support because this is like a new CPU, but let me see. Just let me see. I didn't expect to face this problem. So let me check whether this CPU does have the AVX support. So AMD Ryzen 5. So does AMD Ryzen 5 7600X have AVX support? So it says AMD Ryzen 5 does support like the full support for this without any problem. But I am having this problem. So I'm going to assume I am having this problem because I am running this on Oracle VirtualBox. So what can we do about this? So since they're saying this problem is going to be there for MongoDB version 5.0, I can install like Mongo 4.4 or something like that. Then it should technically work. But can someone try this and tell me whether you're facing the same problem when you're running a Docker PS? If you are following along with me, can you all check whether you can see the container running in Docker PS? Because I am getting this problem because of a hardware issue where I can't do anything about this now. Because I am either, if anyone using WSL, can you tell me whether you are facing this problem? Because for you, you might not have this problem. Anyone who's doing this, I will share the command. So I told you this command by the operating system, it will be taken as a single command. So if you go to the previous commands, you can see it is saved as a one single command. See, even though I typed it using forward slashes line by line, when you are going to a history of commands, this is going to be recorded as a single command. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to save it in my text file and I'm going to share it with you in the text as well. So you can simply copy this and paste it in your command line and run this. So I shared it in the chat. I hope you all received it. Can you all run this command and tell me whether you are facing the same problem? Quickly, please. Because I can't see anything here. Can any of you just quickly run the command and tell me whether you're also getting this same problem? To check the logs, you can run the command docker logs then the MongoDB. Then if you are getting an error with AVX support issue, then we are in the same page. I will give like 5 minutes. Please go through it quickly. I'll give you like 5 to 10 minutes. If you don't have the problem, please share it in your chat. If you're having the problem again, please let me know. Then if that's the case, my solution is I did try it, Patum. Let me see. Let me see. Yes, since you reminded me about that as well. Uh, if I can, there's. I will see whether there's like a Reddit post or something, because the only thing that I can enable here under the processor settings is it's going to be this enable PAE/NX. It's not going to do anything. Like it's not going to do anything when it comes to the AVX issue. So I might not be able to play around with the processor related issues, I feel like. Even though now, since the machine is running, they're not letting me do anything. But even though if I enable the PAE, I don't think it will solve the problem. I will see whether this problem. Yes, 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 yes. This is should be a known problem, I feel like. Mhm. Yes. So one of the persons, the solution was he downloaded 4.4 of MongoDB and it's working. So some person saying this is likely related to changes in 5.0. Like the MongoDB latest version is 5.0, and I think that could be the problem because this is the latest version. So for now, I feel like this one doesn't give a good solution as well. MongoDB only supports Oracle Linux running the Red Hat compatible kernel. MongoDB does not support the unbreakable end. Okay, UEK. So the one solution is, I think there's a person that sent me a text saying that you're using Kali Linux or something like that. So if you're using Kali Linux, you might not face this error. So check whether it is working for you. Let me know. Still no one gave me the update. So I feel like there can be two solutions. One is usually you use a different distribution like something anything other than Linux, Ubuntu server. Try it out, check whether it works. Or the other option is basically go for 4.4. So that's the option that I'm gonna go with. But let me know if anyone's uh, got a solution for this. Like basically didn't get the same error that I'm getting now. Quickly tell me. I shared you the command as well. So you can simply copy and paste the command and let me know. Okay. So in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. So Docker PSA, I'm not getting any replies from anyone. So is කවුරුත් මට reply කරන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ කවුරුත් මාත් එක්ක follow කරන්නේ නැහැ කියන එකද නැත්නම් okay, I got one. I still being downloaded. Okay, okay, okay. So I'll give some time if that's the case. One person said it's still being downloaded. So at the meantime, I'll go for my solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this container, the Mongo container from here. So I'm pretty sure you remember the command docker rm, and then either you have to type the name or the container ID. So I'm going to copy and paste the container ID here. And now it's removed. So if you run docker psa now, it is entirely empty. You can see there's nothing at all, which is fine. Okay, I got a update from one person. Yeah, your one is working. How the me? Chamesh, right? Chamesh Duduko, your one is working, right? Great. That means, so are you running like Oracle VirtualBox or basically you're running Ubuntu? Is the Ubuntu directly installed in your computer or you're running it on top of Windows? Like directly hari ekatama. So if you are running it directly, then it will work because එතකොට hardware constraint එකක් නැහැ. මෙතන මේ issue එක තියෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම එතකොට Oracle VirtualBox එකේ. Oracle VirtualBox එකේ මේ කියන්නේ hypervisor එක උඩ run කරන නිසා මොකක් හරි config සමහර විට ඇත්තටම once you there should be a workaround for this. I don't want to waste time for it. මේක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මොකක් හරි command එකක් ගහලා මේක මේ solve කරන්න solution එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. There should be some sort of a solution for this. I don't want to spend time for it now. So because of that, I'm not going to spend time for that. මම බලන්නම් මේ session එක ඉවරනට පස්සේ මේකට work around එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා. Oracle VirtualBox use කරන ගොඩක් කට්ටිය මෙතන ඇතිනේ. So because of that, ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් Chamesh දිනුක use කරන්නේ මේ basically running Ubuntu on the machine itself no. So එතකොට ඔයාට වැඩ කරනවා කියන්නේ ගොඩක් දුරට machine එකේම run කරන කට්ටියට ගොඩක් දුරට මේක හරියයි. සහ WSL use කරන කට්ටියටත් මේක හරියන්න ඕනේ කියන්නේ. WSL subsystem එක use කරන කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා නම් මේක use කරන කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට issue එකක් නැහැ. නැති වෙන්න ඕනේ. So ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක හොඳයි එහෙනම්. එහෙනම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. පොඩ්ඩක් කාලිනක්ස් use කරන කෙනෙක් මට පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න ඔයාට issue එක එනවද කියලා. ඔයාට issue එක ආවේ නැතොත් that is also good. ඒ කියන්නේ ගොඩ දෙනෙක්ට ප්‍රශ්න එන්නේ නැති වෙයි. But if you face this problem, nothing to worry. මේගොල්ලෝ මේ error එකේ log file එකේ කියනවා මේක issue එක තියෙන්නේ if it is it worked on හරි නියමයි. Thank you සංජන. එතකොට WSL එකෙත් වැඩ කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ එතකොට කිහිප දෙනෙක්ට විතරක් එන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඇත්තටම ප්‍රශ්නේ එතකොට තියෙන්නේ මේක MongoDB 5 version 5 whatever the version 5 එකෙන් උඩ තියෙන ඒවට තමයි. ඒ හින්දා මම 4.4 වලට යන්න මොකද මම දැක්කා Reddit එකෙත් එක්කෙනෙක් දාලා තිබ්බා 4.4 යට වැඩ කරා කියලා. ඒ නිසා I will go to that one. So what I have to do is අරගෙන මේකේ Mongo කියන එක edit කරා නම් හරිය Mongo :4.4 කරලා. මම පොඩි edit එකක් කරේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දකින්න ඇති. මෙතන මම සම්පූර්ණ command එක අරගෙන මේක 4.4 කරා විතරයි. එතකොට 4.4 දැම්මම once you put 4.4 they will exactly take that specific version. මොකද මම දැක්ක එක්කෙනෙක් 4.4 working කියලා දාලා තිබ්බා. Because of that. But for those who are working, you don't have to do anything. You just can work with the one that you have. Okay? මේක වැඩ කරන කට්ටිය කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ තියෙන එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න. I am having this problem. So because of that, I am just going for a workaround at this point. So I'm going to clear everything now. And I'm going to run this command again. So they are pulling it now. Hopefully this will help me out. මම හිතනවා මේකෙන් මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ හරියයි කියලා බලමු. But a good lesson that you can learn from here is how to read the logs and solve the problem නේ. මොකද දැන් බලන්න මම log files කියවපු නිසා තමයි මම දන්නේ මෙතන version එකේ issue එකක් තියෙන කියලා. So those commands are very important when you are working. මේවා තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ hands on වැඩ කරද්දී experience කරන දේවල්. මේක මේ වගේ දේවල් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට experience කරන්න බෑ. මොකක් හරි tutorial එකක් copy and paste කර follow කරොත්. මොකද මේක real world scenarios ද like. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ වගේ වැඩ කරද්දී ඔයගොල්ලෝ face කරන problems. Right. Installation එක නම් completed. Let's see whether our theory is correct. So docker ps එකක් දාන්න. Yes, now it is running. හරි. දැන් මගේ මේක run වෙනවා without any problem. You can see it's perfectly running. The port mapping is also correct. So I am good. හරි. මම වැඩ කරනවා. හැබැයි මගේ එකම ප්‍රශ්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා දැන් මම වැඩ කරන්නේ පරණ version එකක් එක්ක 4.4. Right? You guys are using version 5.0 something. It's fine. It's not going to be a problem for the අපි හිතමු ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන එකක් නැති වෙයි කියලා. මම හිතනවා version එකේ පොඩි mismatch එකක් තිබ්බට අපි කරන වැඩ ටික අපිට ඒ විදිහටම කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා. Right. Next up, let's install Docker, sorry, Mongo Express. හරි. අපි ඊළඟට Mongo Express එක කලින් වගේම මම command එක type කරන්න. So I'm going to say docker run -d forward slash එකේ තේරුම දැන් මම හිතනවා ඔයගලන්ට තේරුණා කියලා. Basically when you put a forward slash, the operating system or the terminal consider this as a single command. මේක ඊළඟ line එකට ගියත් අපිට පේනවා ඇති මේක consider කරන්නේ තාමත් ඔය එකම line එකේ ඉන්නවා කියලා, which is easy for you. හරි, මුලින්ම port mapping එක කරමු. පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු port mapping එක කොහෙටද කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Mongo Express එකට ගිහිල්ලා මේ MongoDB එක මේක docker compose, what I want is Mongo Express here. Mongo Express මේක web එකේ run වෙන හින්දා අපිට ඕන නම් 80යි 80ට හරි 80යි 81ට හරි දාන්න පුළුවන්. Let me search Mongo Express default port. What they are saying in GitHub is මේක තමයි අපිට ඕනේ. මේගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ GitHub එකේ, let's see, හැම වෙලේම documentation read කරන එක practice එකක් කරගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක හරිම important when you are a developer or when you are in your in your IT sector and when you are especially working with open source solutions. අපේ society එකත් අපි මේක focus කරන ප්‍රධානම හේතුව මේක ගොඩක් open source solution එකක්. Open source solutions වලට ගොඩක් කට්ටිය යන්නේ නැත්තේ ගොඩක් වෙලට open source solutions ටිකක් විතර complex. මේ අපිට commercial ඒවට වඩා දැන් ඔයගලන්ටම තේරෙනවා ඇති Windows වල වැඩ කරන එක කොච්චර ලේසිද කියන එක Ubuntu වල වැඩ කරනවට වඩා. නැත්නම් Linux kernel එකක් උඩ වැඩ කරනවට වඩා. ඒ නිසා තමයි ගොඩක් අය user friendly නැහැ කියලා තමයි Windows වගේ operating system use කරන්නේ. මොකද documentation එක ගොඩක් වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ open source solutions වලදී. දැන් මෙතනත් අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු මොකක්ද default එක Mongo Express වල කියලා. මොකද අපි port mapping එක කරද්දී ඒකටම කරන්න වෙනවා. Mongo Express මේක MongoDB නේ. So what we want is Mongo Express. Default port is 8081. Okay, so Mongo Express default මෙතනත් ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති. ඒගොල්ලෝ port mapping එක කරලා තිනවා 8081 වලට තමයි Mongo Express default තියෙන්නේ. So we'll do the same thing, right? We'll do the same thing. අපිත් 8081ට map කරමු. Default values එක වැඩ කරන එක අපිට ලේසි. අපි හින්දා මෙතන දාමු 8081:8081 and next line එකට යන හින්දා forward slash එකක් දානවා, right? And then we'll have to check whether we have any Mongo Express environment variables. මොකද මගේ Mongo Express එක බලමු මේකේ නම් environment variables බලමු මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. Yes, environment variables කිහිපයක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙන තුන ඇත්තටම. මේ තුන අපිට initiate කරන්න වෙනවා. එකක් තමයි admin username එක, auth username එක, ඊළඟට auth password එක, ඊට පස්සේ server එක. හරි? මම හිතන්නේ මෙතන server මෙතන entire command එකනේ. server එක define කරන්න වෙනවා. Mongo server එක මොකක්ද කියලා. ඒතර අපේ එකේ server එකේ අපි නම දුන්නේ MongoDB කියලා. ඒකට අපිට ඒක කියන්න වෙනවා. Are there anything else? මේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම environment variables අපි define කරන්න ඕනේ ඒවා. මෙතන. ඒතර මෙතනින් අපි හොයාගන්න ඕනේ අපි මේක ඉනිෂিয়েට් කරද්දි මොනවද අවශ්‍ය කරන එන්වයරන්මන්ට් වේරියබල්. මෙන්න මේ ටික තමයි ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරන්න ඕනේ. මේකත් එක තමයි පොඩ්ඩක් පොඩ්ඩක් යූස් කේස් එක තියෙන්නේ අතර මෙතන. මේක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට රීඩ් කරලා ඩොකියුමන්ටේෂන් රීඩ් කරලා අයිඩියා එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක බිග් වින්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක ලොකු දෙයක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රියට යද්දි. එතකොට මෙතන ඇත්තටම බේසික් ඕත් එක කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ මට. ඒක අපිට empty තියන්න පුළුවන් default values. මේකත් empty තියන්න පුළුවන්. Enable admin access to all databases. We can do that later. But මේක අපිට කරන්න වෙනවා. me config mongodb admin username කියන එක අපිට දාන්න වෙනවා. මේකට username එක මම දුන්නේ admin, password එක දුන්නේත් admin. ඕකට මම copy කරලා paste කරපු command එකේ ඇති mongodb username එක මේක අපි use කරේ admin කියලා. ඒතර මේ දෙක අපි set up කරමු. ඒතර ඔයගලන්ට මතක ඇති I hope you remember what you have to do is you have to say dash e මොකද අපි environment variables එක වැඩ කරන හින්දා මේක දාලා paste කරලා equal symbol එකක් දාලා ඊට පස්සේ අපි දාන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද අපි pass කරන value එක. දැන් මේ වෙලාවෙම දාන්නේ admin කියලා. මේක dash එකක් දාලා forward slash එකක් දාලා enter කරනවා. ආයිත් dash e ඊළඟට set up කරන ඕනේ environment variable එක තමයි password එක. මම password එකට දුන්නේ the same thing. It is going to be admin. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Equal admin. Right? Samanning, when you're actually working with actual production or a testing one, admin කියලා දාන්න එපා. හොඳ username එකක් password එකක් දාලා configuration එක කරන්න. In this case, that is the one I'm using. බලමු තව මොන හරි environment variables තියෙනවද කියලා. ඊට අමතරව MongoDB server එක දාන්න ඕනේ default තියෙන value එක Mongo. හැබැයි මම දුන්නේ Mongo නෙමෙයි මම දැම්මේ MongoDB කියලා. As I remember, let me see. As I remember, ඔයගලන්ට මම share කරපු chat එකේ දාපු එකේ බලන්න මෙන්න මෙතන name එක දුන්නේ MongoDB කියලා. Default name එක තින්නේ Mongo. So we'll have to edit this environment variable as well. If you are not editing this value, what the value is that they're gonna take is Mongo. කියනවා මේක edit කරේ නැතොත් Mongo කියන value එක ගන්න. එතකොට ඉතින් connection එක හරියට වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද අපි installation එක කරද්දී දුන්න නම MongoDB. ඒ හින්දා අපිට මේකත් edit කරන්න වෙනවා. port number එක නම් by default value එක තියන්න පුළුවන් because this is the value that we used, which is fine. මේකම තමයි අපි installation එක MongoDB එක කරද්දී කරේ. ඒ හින්දා මේක වෙනස් එකක් දැම්මොත් විතරයි මේ value එක edit කරන්න ඕනේ. මේකට මුකුත් අත තියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මේක අපිට change කරන්න වෙනවා. මේක අපිට Mongo එක MongoDB කරන්න වෙනවා. So I'm going to say here, press enter. And dash e. මෙතන මම වැරදි copy කරලා තියෙනවා. මේක copy කරනවා මම copy and paste it here. Then I'm going to say equal MongoDB. නිකම් Mongo කියලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. MongoDB කියලා දාන්න ඕනේ. ඒවල ඔයගොල්ලොත් මම දුන්න එක copy කරලා paste කරා නම් if you copied and paste, just paste the command that I gave you, you will have to do this same thing as well. Otherwise, it will not work. Then the next thing is the network. So as you remember in the previous case, the network was Mongo network. එතකොට මේ වෙලාවෙත් Mongo network කියන එකම තමයි because we have to connect to the same network. Otherwise මේ container එක network එකක අපේ MongoDB එක තව network එකක තිබ්බොත් මේ දෙන්නට connect වෙන්න බෑ. මේ දෙන්න එකම network adapter එකට එහෙම නැත්නම් එකම network environment එකට දාන්න ඕනේ. ඒ හින්දා අපි connection එක කියන්න ඕනේ network. Then we have to say Mongo network. Right? And then we'll give a name. I don't like the default names. So නැත්නම් automatically default name එකක් එන්නේ. මම කියනවා නෑ name එක වෙන්න ඕනේ Mongo Express. මම හිතනවා latest version එක පරණ 4.4 එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කරයි කියලා. If it is not working, මොකද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක ඇති the version I'm using for Mongo is 4.4. So if I simply say Mongo Express, they will search for the latest one. Right? They will search for the latest one. And I'm not sure whether the latest one is working with this 4.4. බලමු. අපි මේක run කරලා බලමු. So they can't find it, so they will run it. They'll get the latest one. Sorry. Okay, beautiful. It is successfully installed. on Docker PS එකක් දාලා බලන්න right no problem at all it is working හරි දැන් මේක වැඩ කරනවා හරි අපේ installation එක හරි දැන් අපි එක Docker environment එකක් හදාගත්තා Docker containers දෙකක් එකම network එකේ run වෙනවා එතකොට මේ MongoDB එකේ UI එක අපිට තියෙන්නේ Mongo Express එකේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට මේ DB එක බලන්න ඕන නම් අපි කරන්න ඕනේ Mongo Express එකට login වෙන එක. simply ඒකනේ කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මේ වැඩේ කරන්න ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ services දෙක එක්කෙනාට එක්කෙනා dependent. මම මේ command එකත් ඔයගලන්ට share කරන්න. දැන් ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ command එක තනි line එකක් විතර මට copy කරන්න පුළුවන්. which is very convenient. මොකද මට ඔයගලන්ට share කරන එක හරිය ලේසි. මට මෙහෙම line by line ගහලා ඊට පස්සේ මට ඒක තනි line එකක් විතර ඔයගලන්ට එක share කරන්න පුළුවන්. So I'm going to share the command with you here. Okay? So this is the command that you have to execute. මම එක දැම්මේ පැතුම්ට. ඉන්නම හැමෝටම දාන්න. Okay. Now you can see it. So my configuration is done. So theoretically, if I go to my web browser and type the IP address and the port number. මට මතක නැහැ IP address එක මොකක්ද කියලා මම ටක් ගාලා IP එක බලන්න. මගේ IP එක වෙන්නේ 192.168.8.25. So I'm going to type 192.168.8.25 අපි QA අපේ Express එක run වෙන්නේ 80.81 කියලා. Yes, now you get the username and password without any problems, right? මේක username එකේ password එකයි අපිට ඕනේ. මේක username එකේ password එකයි අපේ database එකට දුන්න username එකේ password එකයි නෙමෙයි. This is not the same username, so we'll have to check that in the logs. So let's check the logs and see whether they will give us the username and password. I hope you remember the command. So docker ps එකෙන් මම ගන්නම් express එකේ ID එක. Container ID is this. So I'm going to say docker logs, paste here. And here you can see everything's running. And here you can see basic auth credentials are admin and pass. It is recommended you change this in your config.js. JS file එකේ access කරලා මේක change කරගන්න කියනවා. දැනට basic auth credential තියෙන admin and pass. So මම මෙතනට ගිහිල්ලා admin pass කියලා ගැහුවා නම් මට මේකට access කරන්න පුළුවන්. Yes. Now this is how I access my MongoDB through Mongo Express. මේක වැඩ කරන විදිය ඔයගලන්ට idea එකක් ඇති කියලා මම හිතනවා. දැන් මම කරලා තියෙන්නේ Docker containers දෙකක් run කරා. Docker containers දෙකක් implement කරා. එකක් තමයි MongoDB, the database itself. අනිත් එක තමයි Mongo Express. Mongo Express කියන එක ඇත්තටම අපිට access කරලා දෙනවා MongoDB එක using this GUI. හරි? ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට දැන් මෙතන ඇත්තටම database එකක් create කරන්න පුළුවන් directly. දැන් මෙතන දැම්මොත් අපි test කියලා දාලා database එකක් create කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න test කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. මට මේකට view ගිහිල්ලා මට export කරන්න පුළුවන්, මට import කරන්න පුළුවන්, මට data collection එකක් හදන්න පුළුවන්, which is very nice. Right? දැන් මෙතන මම එකක් ඉතාමත් quickly හදාගත්තානේ. හරි? ඉතින් මට tables හදාගන්න එකේ ඔක්කොම කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙතන. හරි? දැන් බලන්න ඕගලන්ටත් මෙතනට වෙනකන් up to here whether you can get it done. දැන් මෙතන idea එක තියාගන්න මේ කරන්නේ Mongo Express එක through මම access කරනවා MongoDB එක. ඒතකොට මේ containers දෙකක් communicate කරන එක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම communicate කරන්න පුළුවන් උනේ මේ දෙන්නම එකම network එකේ ඉන්නේ because these two are in the same network, which is very important. Sorry. So I'll give you 10 minutes. Come like proceed up to here. මෙතනට වෙනකන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ progress එක අරගන්න. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මොකක් හරි issue එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ face කරනවා නම් chat එකේ දාන්න. If you're facing any sort of issue up to here, let me know. So in my case, in Docker PS, I can see both my Mongo and Mongo Express containers are running. They are communicating with each other as well. That's why I can nicely create databases in the Mongo using the Mongo Express. So this is a basic setup. This is a very basic setup. So we can add more things, like we can add Redis, we can add some sort of a web hosting option, whatever, and we can make this environment more complex. How did the password changed from admin? Sanjana, ඇතර password එක change උන්නේ නැහැ. මෙතන මම දුන්න admin කියන password එක දුන්නේ අපේ Mongo DB එකට. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ දීලා තියෙන password එක admin කියන එක මේ දීලා තියෙන Express එකට නෙමෙයි. Express එකේ by default තියෙන values දෙක තමයි admin, username එක admin, password එකට තියෙන්නේ pass. ඒක තියෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම Mongo Express එකේ config.js කියන ෆයිල් එකේ තියෙන්නේ. මේ password එක Mongo Express එක access කරන්න තියෙන password එක අර අපි මෙතන define කරපු password එක Mongo DB එක හදද්දී ඒ database එකේ username එකේ password එක. ඒතර ඒක තාම තියෙනවා. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතක ඇති මම අර command එක run කරද්දී environment variables වලට දැම්මයි දෙක. Mongo Express එකට මම එකක් මෙතන ස්පේස් කරන්න Mongo Express එකේ environment variables වලට මම පාස් කරා Mongo Express එකට කිව්වා ඔයාට MongoDB එකට login වෙන්න ඕන නම් username එකට admin දෙන්න password එකට admin දෙන්න කියලා. ඒක වෙනස් වුන්නේ නැහැ ඇත්තටම. ඒක Mongo Express එක use කරෙත් ඒකම තමයි. මේ username එකයි මේ password එකයි දීලා login වෙන්න කියන එක මම එයාට pass කරා. I passed him those values. This admin and this pass is for login into the web GUI. මේ තියෙන web GUI එකට login වෙන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ Express එකට මේකට login වෙන්න තිබ්බ password එක. ඔයාලට තේරෙනවද සංජන මං කියන එක? යා මේ admin and pass කියලා කියන්නේ මේකට login වෙන එක. මේකට login වෙන එක. ඊළඟට අපි දාපු username එක admin, password එක admin කියලා දුන්නේ අතරම database එකට login වෙන්න දුන්න password. ඒ කියන්නේ MongoDB එකට. අපි එකට වැරදි password එකක් දුන්නා නම් මේ විදිහට අපිට database හදන්න බෑ. මොකද අපිට connection එකක් නැහැ කියලා කියනවා. දැන් මේ වෙලාවේදී නම් කිසිම issue එකක් නැතුව ලස්සනට connect වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Good question, good question. And also these things are very simple. මොකද මම මේ I'm not doing any advanced things because I am going to assume most of you are beginners, right? දැන් සමහර විට docker ටිකක් හොඳට දන්න කට්ටියට මේක දැක්කම it's like very simple thing, right? It could be, but I am going to assume most of you are for like are beginners. මොකද අපි අර මුලින්ම කරපු survey එකේ මම දැක්ක 60ක් විතර docker use කරලාම තිබ්බේ නැහැ. So because of that I am going from the scratch. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක very simple thing to do. I know, right? But I want you to start from the lowest end and go to the advanced things. So දැන් නම් අපි ටික ටික advanced ඒවට යනවා. දැන් අපිට පුළුවන් අපිටම කියලා පොඩි test bench එකකුත් හදාගන්න. දැන් මේක almost a test bench නෝ. අපි තව ටිකක් services ටිකක් මේකට add කරගත්තොත් ඇත්තටම it's going to be like a good industry level test bench. ඊට පස්සේ මේකට අපි docker compose එකක් අපිම ලියුවොත් if we can learn how to write a docker compose for these two services. දැන් ඔයා දකින්න ඇති මේ services දෙක වෙන වෙනම අපි install කරේ. හරි? හැබැයි ඇත්තටම මේ service එක depend on this service. right? ඇත්තටම මේ දෙක අපිට එකපාරම තනි command එකකින් install කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් මේ mappings ඔක්කොමත් එක්ක that's a big win. අද අපි කොහොමද එතනට වෙනකන් ඉගෙන ගමු. docker compose එකකින් අපි මේ සම්පූර්ණ වැඩේ ආයි තනියම කරමු. So up to here, get your things done. I'll give you 5 minutes. At the meantime, I'll grab some water. මේ commands දෙක run කරලා ටක් ගාලා try කරන්න. ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ level එකට එන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතනට වෙනකන් වැඩි කරගන්න try කරන්න. Okay, so I got a question. If the Docker compose file of a yes, good question, Hasib. So the question was another question, similar question. Let me see. Just like 2 or 3 questions. Let me go to the questions and then I'll answer. Right. So there were 3 questions, all 3 questions related to Docker compose file and security. Okay, which is good, which is a very good question. So the question is, I'll read the Hasib's question, which is very similar to the other two. If the Docker compose file of a web service get leaked, can it be used to identify possible vulnerabilities and launch an attack? Here's the thing. So with the leaked Docker compose file, it can reveal useful information to attackers, right? And something like this. So for an example, if you see a Docker compose file and in the compose file, you mention what are the services that you're using. Let's say like Nginx, MySQL or WordPress. And also all the ports are also in there, like which port is being mapped to which port, right? Especially more than everything, you can see the version number that you are going to use in the Docker compose file. For an example, if it is just Mongo Express, then the person know. So this whatever this system is using the latest version of Mongo Express because he knows the version of the service that they're running. And if you know about CVE databases, in the CVE databases, they mention different types of vulnerabilities in services. So if you see in a Docker in a Docker compose file, someone is using Mongo 4.4, and that person check whether there is any vulnerabilities in CVE database for Docker 4.4. If he figures out there's any issues in Docker 4.4, he can perform some sort of attack. So let me see whether there's any vulnerabilities in Mongo 4.4, MongoDB 4.4. So you can see this is one example, right? So mismatch length, this is a vulnerability, and this vulnerability is going to be there in MongoDB server 3.6 versions, right? So that's an example. So if you see a compose file, and in the compose, if they have mentioned that they are using MongoDB 3.6, then there is a vulnerability, and then someone can actually use this vulnerability to perform attack. And you can see this is a high risk attack vulnerability as well. It rated as 8.7. It is a high risk attack, high risk vulnerability. So for your question, Hasib, yes, of course. Once you expose a Docker compose file to an outside party, there is some amount of risk that you are going to expose your system unnecessarily to outside, especially with the versions. Other than that, no other problem. Basically, it will gives out the file structure as well, like how you are saving files and everything. But yes, it will give out something. And after getting a compose file, yes, you can perform attacks. It is more than possible, and it has happened as well. I hope I answered your questions, Hasib and other. There is a security risk in most of the things that we do. That's obvious. We have to be careful. So others, if you have questions, please let me know. Right. Do you guys want more time? Or shall I continue? Can you put a thumbs up if you want more time? Put a thumbs up if you want more time. But there's two people. I'll give you like 5 more minutes. So next up, what we have to do is we'll do this same thing. This installing separately. So in here, we install these two services separately, right? So next up, what we are going to do is we are going to create a single compose file, a Docker compose file, which is our goal today, and run this, install these services using one compose file. So that is the idea. That is the goal that we have today. So before doing that, we'll have to remove these services. We have to delete these services first, and then we can move to the next part. So what I'm going to do is, for those who need time, you can just finish up your work. At the meantime, I will remove my running containers from here. So I'm going to say docker remove, docker rm. First, I'm going to remove the Mongo DB. It says error response from it cannot remove container because it is running. They ask me to force it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command with a F flag. So that F means force it, forcefully remove it. So now you can see it got removed. So if I run docker ps now, I have only the Express, Mongo Express one. So if I go back to my web page and refresh, let's see whether I can see any errors. I mean, now the database is not there, so I should get some sort of error, or it should not work at all. Let's see. Seems like it's not working now. So you can see now if I try to go to the Mongo Express, even though the Mongo Express service is running, right? You can see it's still running. It's not loading. The reason is this was also depend on the MongoDB container because it was connected. Since now there's a problem, it is not working, right? So you can see now you can see Mongo servers selection error, basically timeout. Basically, they can't find the MongoDB. So because of that, you're not getting the web UI. So I just wanted to prove that I was using Mongo Express to access that specific container. මට ඔයගලන්ට proof කරන්න ඕනලා තිබ්බේ අර MongoDB container එක තමයි මම Mongo Express වලින් access කරේ කියලා. දැන් මම මේ container එක අයින් කරා. MongoDB එක දැන් මට Express එකේ error එකක් එනවා. මේ MongoDB එක හොයාගන්න බෑ කියලා. මොකද හොයාගන්න බැරි වෙන්න හේතුව මම ඒක delete කරපු හින්දා. So our experiment was working. Our experiment was perfectly fine. කමක් නැහැ. දැන් අපි මේකත් අයින් කරලා දාමු. Docker remove. මම මේකත් force අයින් කරලා දාන්නම්. I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. වැරදිලාම එක ඉතින් මේක type වුණා. ආයි ගයිල් කරමු. හරි. Then go to Docker PSA at the mode. You can see it's empty. So now we are again in you can say ground level again. You can දැන් අපි ගාව services මුකුත් run වෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපේ network එක තියෙනවා. ඔයාලා මතක ඇති මම network එකක් හැදුවා. ඒ network එක තියෙනවා අපි network එක delete කරලා දාමු. මොකද මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පෙන්වන්න නම් තියෙන networks ටික docker network ls එකක් දැම්මොත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පෙන්නන්නේ mongo network එක තියෙනවා. Right? So this is the network that we created before. Right? So let's remove this network first. So what is the command for that? Right? What you can do is docker network, just like before, rm, and then you have to mention the either the name or the ID. So in this case, I'll say the name, Mongo network, and press enter. It should be docker. Now I got the output. Now if I run docker network ls, you can see that Mongo network is no longer there. That's fine. So I cleared everything from my workspace. I removed everything. So this was our command, right? So I'm going to use this command as a reference to create the compose file, the docker compose file. I'm just giving some time for the people that needed some time. Let me know once you are done with your work. Then we can move to the docker compose. Okay, shall we start? Okay, so this is how you map these two services to a Docker compose file. So first I'll just type it here, then I will move to the Docker compose YAML file. Okay. So first thing first, in the previous YAML versions, you have to mention the Docker version, right? Basically compose version like 3.2, something like that. But now you don't have to do it. Okay. Now it is not required in the new versions. Basically, you can skip the first line. So the first line is version, but now you don't have to mention it. So since you don't have to mention it, I am not going to do the same here. before going to it, I will show you an example of a Docker Compose file. So Docker Compose of Pi-hole. So if I go to this documentation here, so this is a Docker Compose file, right? This entire thing is a Docker Compose file. And in the previous old Docker Compose files, you will see a version. Let me see. I can find a Docker, like an old Docker Compose file, so I can show you the differences. Mm, Let me see whether I can find a photo. Yeah, you can see this one. So in this one, in this photo, let me open this. So in this file, you can see they have mentioned the version like this, see, 3.9 likewise. In this case, actually, you don't have to do it now, but now you can see in this Docker Pi-hole documentation as well, they don't have the version now because version is not required, but you can see the indentation is very important. See, these indents are very important. So this is where we are going to struggle actually. Since I'm typing it in a text file, what I'm going to do is first I will show you what you need to type. Then I will put this to ChatGPT or something, I'll get the correct indentation. I'll ask ChatGPT or some sort of a large language model to like properly indent this. Then I will copy it and paste it in my server. That is the idea. Okay. So the first thing is you have to mention the services. So this is the main one. So in here, what you're going to do is you're going to define your services. So everything will be inside here. So let's put a space indent. So I did a one space. Then what you have to do is you have to give the service name. So in this case, our service name is going to be Mongo. So I'm going to type MongoDB. So whatever you can give whatever the name here, you can say MongoDB test, MongoDB v1. Whenever you give, the first thing that you give is going to be your service name. This will be the container name as well. So this will be your container name as well. When you are giving a container name here, this is what you do now. You say name and then you say MongoDB now. When you're creating a compose file, this is how you give the name. You say services and then you give the name. Under here, I'm going to put in two indents now, two spaces. So now this is double indented. Then you have to mention what is the image that you want. So in this case, you can see the image is the last thing that you mentioned. In here, I'm going to mention the image first. So I'm just going to say image. Then I'm going to say Mongo 4.4. This is the image I want, right? And then under here, I'm going to say the ports. Then what port mappings I want to do. So I'm going to put a space, put another double indent here. And I'm going to say ports going to be inside double quotes. I have to mention the ports. So 27017. I'm just taking the values from here. See this one. And I'll copy it and paste it here. So the next thing I'm going to mention is the ports. Ports are properly mentioned. Next up, we have to mention the environment. So I'm going to say environment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste these two values. I will definitely have some indentation issues. That is fine because I will indent this later. Okay. This E is not required because we have already mentioned that these are environment. Okay. And then username and password is properly mentioned. Okay. So this is our first service. This is the mapping of this to this. මේ තියෙන ටික තමයි මම මෙතනට map කරේ. ඔන්නෝම තමයි mapping එක කරන්නේ. ඔන්න මම පළවෙනි එක කරා. Right? Can you try to do the second one by yourself? ඔන්න පළවෙනි එකේ mapping එක මම explain කරන්න. Services කියලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි mention කරනවා අපේ service name එක. ඒතර ඒක MongoDB මම මෙතනින් ගත්තේ. ඊට පස්සේ image එක ports මොනවාද port mapping එක වෙන විදිහ ඊට පස්සේ environment variables ටික කියනවා. ඊළඟට දෙවෙනි එක පටන් ගන්න ඕන නම් under services ම තමයි. දැන් මේක තාම තියෙන services ඇතුලේ. ඒතර එක space එකක් දාලා අපි තාමත් ඉන්නේ same indent එකේ. එතකොට දෙවෙනි සර්විස් එකේ නම වෙන්නේ එතකොට Mongo Express. මෙතන මම දානවා Mongo Express කියලා. කෝලන් එකක් දානවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඊටු ටික ලස්සනට මැප් කරනවා. Try to do this quickly by yourself. Okay, so I'll do it now. First, I gave the service name, so you have to give the same indent here. So now it does have the indent like this. And then next thing is you have to mention the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this entire thing from top to here. And I'll just edit this, okay? So don't worry about the indents. Indents are wrong. I will fix it later. So if you're using some sort of a IDE, you will not have this problem. But since I'm using text, it's going to be problem, okay? Right. So the next thing, Mongo Express, the image, I'm just going to install the latest one. So I'm just going to say Mongo Express. And then the ports, the port mapping is going to be different. It's going to be 8081 and 28081. So I replaced that. And then I have 3 environment variables here. So I will copy and paste these environment variables here. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. I hope, and you have to remove this ease. Okay. The only thing that I didn't do here is mapping the network or creating the network using this command, right? දැන් අපි මෙතන තියෙන ඇඩැප්ටර් එක කිව්වනේ Mongo network එකට connect වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා. අපි ඒක මෙතන කරේ නැහැ. මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හේතුව කිව්වා Docker compose වලදී අපි මේ command එක run කරාම තනි compose file එකේ තියෙන services වලට automaticallyම ඒගොල්ලෝ network එකක් හදනවා. හරි? ඒ නිසා අපි ඒක කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක ඔයගොල්ලෝ automatically ඒක කරනවා. That's a good thing. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ testing වගේ කරද්දී නැත්තම් සැරින් සැරේ networks හදන්න වෙනවා. testing කරන්න මේක හරි useful. Once you do this with a one compose file, you can just simply run it and you will have your networks, everything's automatically figured out. So you don't have to worry about it. It's very good, right? ඒක තමයි තියෙන ලොකුම advantage එක. හරි. දැන් නම් ෆයිල් එක මෙච්චරයි. බලන්න මේ services දෙක, මේ commands දෙක, මේ තියෙන මගේ compose YAML ෆයිල් එක. මේකට මම map කරා. Which is very nice, right? හරි. දැන් අපි බලමු කොහොමද මේ වගේ YAML ෆයිල් එකක් අපි හදාගත්තට පස්සේ once we prepare our own YAML file, how can we run it, right? How can we run it in our bench or in our test environment? First of all, let's make a directory. I hope you all know how to make directories in Linux. මොකද ඔයගලන්ට මම activity එකක් දුන්නා අර course එක කරන්න කියලා. ඒක කරා නම් මේවා පුළුවන්. දැන් ඔයගලන්ට තේරෙනවා ඇති ඇයි එහෙම course එකක් කරන්න කියලා කිව්වේ කියලා. Hope you can get the idea why it is important. හරි? දැන් මම directory එකක් හදනවා my docker app කියලා. මම ls එකක් දාලා බලන්නම් හරි එක තියෙනවා. Then I'm going to change my directory to cd my docker app. I'm going to ls, yes, I'm inside there. Then I'm going to create the Docker compose file. I'm going to say nano compose. I'll say nano docker compose. Remember the type, it should be a YML file. Okay, it's a YAML file. Right. So I already have my file. What I'm going to do is now copy and paste whatever I typed here. Then make a copy kala paste කරොත් නම් මං හිතන්නේ නැහැ වැඩ කරයි කියලා because of the indentation. But fine, let's try to do it no. මුලින්ම try එකක් දෙමුකෝ අපි. So you can see මේකෙම මට indent issues පෙන්නනවා රතු පාටින්. මම ඒ ටික නම් අයින් කරගන්න. මේවා නම් spaces වැඩිපුර තියෙනවා. I will remove everything, right? Might as well. But I'm pretty sure it's might give me some sort of error. මට හිතෙන විදිහට නම් error එකක් දෙන්න ඕනේ මොකද indent ඒ තරම් perfect නැහැ. So I'm going to save this. So I'm going to control X and I'm going to say yes. So I saved it. Now I'm going to run it. So to run this, you can say docker compose up. If you want to run it on detached mode, you can simply say D. But in this case, I'll just run it in the attached mode. බලමු මොකක් හරි issue එකක් එදේද. මෙන්න error එකක් තියෙනවා. Docker compose YML services model environment must be mapping. So validating error එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක මෙතනක් තියෙන්නේ මේකක් තමයි හොඳම වැඩේ. I will copy this entire code, okay, and put it to some sort of a LLM and I'll get it fixed. Okay, I'll go to DeepSeek or something. Do I need an account for this? I don't have a DeepSeek account. Let me see whether I can use ChatGPT or something. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, so my YAML file is being fixed. Indentation needs follow key value. Okay. I feel like now everything's okay. So I'm gonna, what they have done is they have added 2 spaces for YAML indentation. Environment variables changed from equal sign to colons. And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna copy this. This should work now. I'm gonna copy this. So this is the YAML file that we worked with. So I'm gonna remove this one. Here. I will share this YAML file with you as well, so you can use the same. Here you go. Please make sure to do the indentation before copying and pasting the file. So I will remove this entire thing first. Then I will paste the new one. Hopefully it will work. But what you need to understand is this is what you call the compose file, a Docker compose file, a YAML file. So I'm going to copy it from there. Hope the indentation will also be copied. And okay. So I'm going to control X, yes, right? So I'm going to run Docker compose up. Okay, now you can see it's working and everything is downloading. You can see all the logs here. This is the attached mode. So because of that, if I leave here, everything will be disconnected. But you can see now, the first thing that you can see is very important here. The first thing that you can see is network my Docker app default created. So the first thing that they created was the Docker network, because I told you the network will be automatically created by the composer or the Docker composer or the YAML file itself. So you can see the first thing that they created was my Docker app underscore default. So it was created. Then I wanted MongoDB. Then I wanted my Docker app Mongo Express one. So all these things are created now. And there was no other problems. You can see the username is root, admin database, everything's okay. All the information is there. So if I click a D and run a Docker PS, you can see everything is running, right? Uptime status, so it is running still. Even though I detached from there, it is not stopped, it is still running. You can see these two files are actually created using the compose file. Okay, and also now you can see the names. What is the special thing about these two names? Can you see? These names are not the names I gave in the compose file. මෙන්න මෙතන තියෙන මේ නම් බලන්න. මේ නම මෙතන තියෙන නමයි මෙතන තියෙන නමයි අතර බලන්න මෙතන මේ නම ඉවර වෙන්නේ මෙතනින්. ඔන්න. දැන් full name එක පේනවනේ. මගේ compose file එකේ මම දුන්න නමයි මේ නමයි ඇත්තටම වෙනස්. I will show you the compose file. Right? දැන් compose file එකේ මම container එකට දුන්න නම තමයි මේක. MongoDB. මේකට දුන්න නම MongoDB. මේකට දුන්න name එක තමයි Mongo Express. හැබැයි මෙතන තියෙන නම ඒකට වෙනස්. ඔයගොල්ලෝ පෙරදී MongoDB කියන එක මෙතන තියෙනවා. Mongo Express කියන එක තියෙනවා. හැබැයි prefix එකකුයි suffix එකකුයි දාලා තමයි නම හදලා තියෙන්නේ. prefix එක තමයි මොකද්ද? මේ බලන්න. මේ තියෙන folder එකේ නම නේද? my docker app කියලා එයා නම වෙනස් කරගන්නවා. my docker app ඊට පස්සේ config එකේ තියෙන නම ඊට පස්සේ නම් එක. මේකෙත් එහෙමයි. my docker app කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ folder එක. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි service එකේ නම ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මේක තියෙන්නේ. තේරෙනවනේ idea එක. ඒතර මේගොල්ලෝ automatically හදද්දී naming convention එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඔයා මෙතන compose එකේ තිබ්බොත් අපි හිතමු name එක ABC කියලා. එතකොට ඔයාට එන name එක මොකද්ද මෙතන service එකේ chat එකේ දාන්න බලන්න. මෙතන වාගේ compose එකේ ඔයා ABC කියලා දැම්මොත් ඔයාට මෙතන හැදෙන service එකේ නම මොකද්ද? කියන්න බලන්න. ඔයා compose file එකේ ABC කියලා දැම්මොත්. That's the question, right? Compose file එකේ ABC කියලා දැම්මොත් මෙතන හැදෙන නම මොකක්ද? What do you think? Yes, Hasib, very good. So, එතන හැදෙන්නේ එතකොට my docker app ABC1. If you run another instance, it's going to be my docker app ABC2. So, you can simply do a good version controlling. හරියට හරි. Anas, very good. So, that's the idea. හරි. ඕගලන්ට දැන් මෙතන PQR කියලා තිබ්බොත් my docker app PQR express ඕගලන්ගේ file location එකේ මෙතන නම app නම් එතකොට වෙන්නේ app ABC1 likewise. එතකොට අර names හැදෙන විදිහක් තියෙනවා. ඒ හැමදේම මේ පොඩි දේවල්. These are very small things, but you should know these things, right? Otherwise, if someone asks you the question, why does it look like this? What is the reason for it? Then you can say that's how Docker Compose work. This is the idea behind it. So you should be able to clarify these kind of small problems. හරි. එතකොට දැන් බලන්න මේ compose file එක එකපාරම run කරාම දැන් මෙච්චර ගොඩක් run වුණාට ඇත්තටම මම මේක detach mode එකේ run කරොත් if I run this using the detach mode I'm only going to see these three. මම මේක detach mode එකේ මෙතනින් -d කියලා දාලා run කරා නම් මට පෙන්වන්නේ ඇත්තටම මේ තුන විතරයි. මෙතනින් එහාට කිසිම දෙයක් පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් මම මෙතන මේක attach mode එකේ run කරපු නිසා තමයි I saw all sorts of logs. මට logs ටික බලන්න ඕන හින්දා තමයි මම ඒක detach mode එකේ run කරේ. sorry attach mode එකේ run කරේ. හැබැයි මම මේක detach එකේ run කරා නම් මේව කිසිම දෙයක් එන්නේ නැහැ. Only thing that you're going to see is these three. You will see these three. Okay? That the network is created and also the two containers that you requested is created. So those information will be there and that's it. Nothing else will be there. Okay. I hope I am clear. Now let's see whether this is working, right? That is the next thing. No? Now we created our own compose file. We created, now it is running and it is running two services without any problem. Now let's see whether it is working without any problem as well. So let's go to my web browser and let's, just like before, let's do the same thing. The IP address is 25. Now it is working, right? Now it is working and now what you need to remember is this is created using what? Using the compose. That is the idea, right? This is created using the compose. And that's how you use compose for Docker. So this is a simple example, but it is a very powerful example because from this, imagine if you have like 10 services, you can define all 10 services in one place and you can run it. So it is very simple, right? The idea is very simple. I hope I clarified these things for you. And now let's stop this Docker compose. So I'm going to say Docker compose stop. So now you can see they are stopping Mongo Express and they are stopping Docker app. So you can see with one command, if there's 10 services, you can stop all 10 services just simply by typing one command, which is very convenient. Imagine if you have like 20 commands created separately, then you have to like remove it one by one, no? And you can delete the entire thing by yourself. So now if you run a Docker PS, it's gone. Now you don't have to delete it by one, right? So it is very useful, especially when you are doing a lot of microservices. Like if you're working with bunch of services, this is very convenient. And let's see whether there's a new Docker network as well, Docker network LS. Now you can see there's a new network as well, which is not something that I created. This was automatically created when I was running that Docker compose file. So my Docker app default, this was created for that Docker compose file. So that's the idea behind using Docker. And that is the idea behind using Docker compose mainly, right? So this is not a fully fledged application. This is just to give you an idea of how to use Docker. But I will also show you how to install. This is good for developers, right? This is good for developers for when they are doing like development, when they want to run different types of services and test out your system. This is good for developers. And for services people, like there are different people that host different services. I'm talking about the system engineering side. There are people that want to run firewalls, like a PF Sense firewall in a Docker container. There are people who want to run some sort of an ad blocker in a Docker container. So I'll just show you example for you guys as well. Pi-hole is a very good example for that. So I'll go for Pi-hole Docker Compose, right? So Pi-hole is it's something very similar to you can say it's an ad blocker and like traffic analyzer. So what I'm going to do is I am going to copy this compose file. So this is the Docker compose, right? And I'm going to go to my server, right? And then I will open that my file that I used before, this one, because now I explained you this. I shared you the this file as well. So I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to remove everything in here and I'm going to paste that compose file to here and see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to run that compose file here. Let's see what will happen. So this is the copied and pasted one. Now you can see services. Services is Pi-hole. This is the name and the container name, and the image was taken, the latest one taken from the repository. And the ports, you can see the DNS ports are there. HTTP ports are there. 80 was mapped to 80. 53 was mapped to 53. 443 was mapped to 443. There are no environment variables. The country was changed. These are the environment variables. One environment variable is the country. Then there's the web server API password. If using Docker, default bridge network setting, the DNS listening, okay. Set a password to access the web interface. So here I will have to change this. They are asking you to set a password to access the web, but not setting one will result in a random password being assigned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say admin. I will edit this file to admin. Everything is okay, right? And volumes are created. These are this was created in HC Pi-hole. So basically, like in Windows, nang desktop එකේ Pi-hole කියලා folder එකක් හදන්න කියනවා වගේ HC වල Pi-hole කියලා folder එකක් හදනවා. ඊළඟට CapAd netadmin systime and syslines. Okay. So මේ ටික ඔක්කොම දාලා තව එතන restart unless stop. ඒතර මේක restart කරන්න කියන්නේ මේක නැවැත්තුවොත් විතරයි. නැත්නම් මේ container එක restart කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right. So I'm going to save this configs and I'm going to leave and I'm going to run the command to run the Docker compose. So the command is Docker compose up. So now it is running. May run when I copy karla paste karapu Pi-hole image එක. Now it's pulling from the database or their repository. Sorry. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව මේ වුණා. මම docker ps එකක් දාලා බලන්නම්. ඒක පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ. Right? The reason is error response from daemon failed to set up container network driver failed programming external connectivity on endpoint failed to bind host port 530 address already in used. මේකට හේතුව මම හිතන්නේ මගේ home network එකේ pi hole එකක් දැනටමත් run වෙනවා. හරි? ඒ නිසා තමයි මේක run වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ. මොකද මගේ ගෙදර network එකේ මම මේ port 53 වල pi hole එකක් run කරනවා දැනටමත්. ඒ නිසායි මේක run වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ කියලා තමයි මට හිතෙන්නේ. මොකද මේ service එක නැත්තම් entirely run වෙන්න ඕනේ. Yes, it is here. Right? It is not running. Mainly I feel like because of that. Either I have to edit the compose to run it in a different port number. That is possible. The 53 එකේ run කරන්න නැතුව වෙන port එකක run කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේකෙන් corruption එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක තමයි මට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඕනනම් මම try එකක් දෙන්නම්, but I don't think it will work. I will give this a try because I don't want to turn off the pi hole running in my house. මට ඒක off කරන්න මම කැමති නැහැ. ඒ නිසා මම try කරන්න. right. දැන් නම් run වෙනවා. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව docker ps එකක් දැම්මම. හැබැයි whether I'm not 100% sure whether it is working or not. අපි නිකන් try එකක් දීලා බලමු අපිට ඒක access කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයිද කියලා. මේ මොකටද මේ message එක ආවේ? no config. අයින මම බලන්නම්. අපේ එක්කෙනෙක්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. Hasib මම let's discuss about this once the what you call once the session is over, okay? Session එක ඉවරනට පස්සේ පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න මම එක පොඩ්ඩක් අපි clarify කරගමු. Right, let me quickly try to access this. My IP address is 25. Yes, pi hole is running, but what they're saying is, let's go to the dashboard. Right, it is running now, right? So the password that I gave was admin, and this is my pi hole, right? So මේක run වෙන්නේ මගේ docker container එක ඇතුලේ. මම අර port එක වෙනස් කරපු නිසා මේක වැඩ කරනවා. මොකද ගෙදර එකත් එක්ක නැත්තම් I have a pi hole running in my house. With that this ones can get conflicted. Anyways, then pi hole එකකින් order කරන්න බද මෙතන ඔයාලට බලන්න ගොඩක් information පෙන්නනවා. What you can do is you can block ads. Like when you go to a website එකකට යද්දි advertisements ගොඩක් එනවනේ. ගොඩක් වෙලාට මොකක් download කරන්න ගියාම දෙපැත්තෙම ගොඩක් තියෙන advertisements. එතකොට මෙතන ඔයාලට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ දැන් මේ pi hole එකේ IP address එක 192.168.8.25 නේ. ඔයාලට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ ගෙදර Wi-Fi router එකේ login වෙලා Wi-Fi router එකේ DNS එක වෙනුවට Wi-Fi router එකේ DNS එක ගොඩක් දුර default ඇත්තේ එක Google DNS එක 8888 නැත්නම් router එකේ built-in DNS එක. ඔයාලට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ router එකේ DNS settings වලට ගිහිල්ලා DNS එක වෙනුවට මෙන්න මේ IP address එක දෙන එක විතරයි. එතකොට වෙන්නේ ඔයා යවන හැම traffic එකක්ම යවන්නේ pi hole එක through. pi hole එක through traffic එක යවද්දි වෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ traffic ටික මුලින්ම කරන්නේ යාගාව තියෙනවා list එකක් domain list එකක් තියෙනවා. මෙතන 79000ක් තියෙනවා domains. මේ domain list එකත් එක්ක map වෙනේවා තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා advertisements ඔක්කොම block කරනවා. block කරලා තමයි ඔයාලට website එක දෙන්නේ. ඒතර ඔයාටම free ad blocker එකක් තියෙනවා. ගෙදරම host වෙලා ඔයාට ඕනම website එකට යන්න පුළුවන් ads නැතුව මේ pi hole කියන එක use කරලා. මේ තියෙන්නේ system එකක් කොහොමද deploy කරගන්නේ කියලා docker වගේ එකක් නැත්නම් docker compose file එකක් use කරලා. ඔයාට ඔයාගේම proxy server එකක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන් pi hole එකකින්. ඔයාට ඔයාගේම DNS run කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයාට ඔයාගේම DHCP server එකක් run කරන්න පුළුවන් pi hole එක ඇතුලේ. So there's a lot you can do about pi hole. I'm not going to describe those things. You can just search YouTube for a YouTube video to get an idea what pi hole can do. But what I'm saying is you can do a lot of things using Docker. And to run this entire system, මේ සම්පූර්ණ system එකම run කරන්න all I needed was simple compose file. A compose file like available තිබ්බ compose file එක copy කරා paste කරා. Without the compose file, you will have to set up everything by yourself, including all the environment variables, including all the file structures, everything. But with a compose file, you can simply copy and paste the compose and run the YAML file, and it will work, right? ඒකට ඕක තමයි YAML file එකක් use කරන්න පුළුවන් විදිය. ඔයගොල්ලොත් ගෙදරදී අනිවාර්යෙන් එකපාරක් හරි මේක try කරන්න. මේ කරපු වැඩේ try කරන්න. මේ තියෙන්නේ the simplest example that I can give you how to do how to create your own YAML Docker compose file. ඒතර මේකෙන් idea එකක් අරගෙන මම අර දුන්න lab activity එක කරන්න ගෙදරදී. Right? So I will show you that lab activity as well. This is the one. So separate Docker commands for each service. So now here in the lab activity, you will see මෙතන තුනක් තියෙනවා services. එකක් තමයි Postgres SQL එක තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට Redis එක තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට Python web app එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒතර මේ තුන separated services තුනක්. But all three are connected together. කලින් වගේම තමයි. ඕගොල්ලන්ට කරන්න තියෙන activity එක තමයි take the 3 Docker run commands above, convert them into one Docker compose YML file, and then run it and see whether this is working. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා සරලවම කිව්වොත් ඔයා මේක close කරොත් මේ දෙකම වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ අතට. හරිනේ? try කරලා බලන්න මේක ගෙදරදී ඔයගලන්ට ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. Right? So this is a task for you to do. This is not a activity that I gave you like before. මේක අර කලින් කරා වගේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කරන්න ඕන activity එකක් නෙමෙයි. මේක ඔයගොල්ලෝ practice කරන්න ආසයි නම් මේක practice කරලා බලන්න. නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක ඇත්තටම කරන්න ගොඩාක් කම්මැලි නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉතින් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගොඩාක් කම්මැලි වුණාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ chat GPT වගේ use කරලා අහනවනේ. කමක් නැහැ කොහොම හරි මේක ඔයගොල්ලෝ try කරන්න compose file එකකට හදලා මේක compare කරන්න. කොහොමද මෙයාව map වුනේ compose file එකට? How did this map to a compose file? How did this map to a compose file? Because you need to have that practice. The practice is very important when you're going to the industry, right? Because they expect you to know this, right? So try to do this activity by yourself. So this is the lab sheet 2. Great. So this is the conclusions of the today's workshop. Workshop day 3. This should be day 3. Yes, day 3. And also, most probably the next session might be a physical one because I prefer doing the compose activities physically. මොකද questions ගොඩ දෙනෙක් ඇහුවේ නැත්තේ I'm 100% sure most of you didn't do it. You just watched. Just either you let it run or you didn't do anything. Few people did it, and those who did asked me lots of questions. දැන් මම දැනුත් question එකක් දාලා තිබ්බනේ. මේක මාත් එක්කම කරොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගොඩක් questions එනවා. එතකොට we can discuss. So most probably next 3 to 4 sessions will be මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩක් දුරට තව session 3ක් විතර තියෙයි. Long sessions. මීට වඩා ටිකක් වෙලාවෙන් දිග sessions ටිකක් කරන්න වෙයි. ඒ sessions ගොඩක් දුරට physically තියන්න වෙයි. ඒතකොට online University of Kelaniya අපේ faculty එකකින් එළිය ළමයිට online join වෙන්න බැරි නම් අපි arrangements කරන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට online join වෙන්න. That's not a problem. But most probably the next sessions will be done physically since our semester is starting. Hari, I hope you learned something from here. I hope it is clear for you. So if you don't have any questions, ඔයගොල්ලන්ට questions මුකුත් නැත්තම් කටි thumbs up එකක් දාන්න බලන්න. Questions නැත්තම් විතරයි. Then I can assume you don't have questions. Question අහපු කට්ටිය ඉන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අපි කතා කරලා questions විසඳගමු. Okay, seems like most of you doesn't have any questions. All right, so if you have questions, please stay on the session and we'll conclude the session from here. So I will see you guys in the next one. And thank you very much for staying. Have a good day and good night. Those who have questions, please remain on the session. We'll have a small discussion on the problems you have. Okay, Hasib. So in your current directory, when you run the command, you got that error, no? can you check, can you run the command ls and see whether you can see the YML file? එතන ls එකක් දාලා බලන්න ඔයාලට YML file එක පෙන්වනවා කියලා මෙතන ඔයාගේ error එකේ හැටියට what they are saying is they can't find the YAML file. ඒ කියන්නේ ෆයිල් එක හොයාගන්න බෑ කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා ඉන්න ෆයිල් ලොකේෂන් එක එක්ක ෆයිල් එක හරියට සේව් වෙලා නැහැ. නැත්නම් ෆයිල් එකේ YAML ෆයිල් එකේ එක්ස්ටෙන්ෂන් එක හරිය මොකක් හරි වැරදිලා තියෙන්නේ. I think the extension maybe it's wrong. Can you check and let me know? ls එකක් දාන්න ඔයා ඉන්න ලොකේෂන් එකේම. හසි හසි are you there? Ah yes, right now. Okay, so the file is there. Okay, there is two files now. One is YAML, the other one is YML. The correct one should be YML. Okay, it's even though we call it YAML, it's we type it as YML. අරක අයින් කරලා දාමුද? YAML කියලා දාලා තියෙන එක. ඔයාට ඒක remove කරන්න ඕන simply කරන්න තියෙන්නේ rm කියලා type කරලා doc-comp.yaml rm තමයි command එක. හරි ඒක අයින් කරාට පස්සේ run කරන්න බලන්න ෆයිල් එක. ආයිත් ඒ error එක එනවා නම් can you nano to doc-comp.yml ඒක ආයිත් error එකක් එනවා නම් nano කරන්නකෝ මේ ෆයිල් එක ඇතුළට doc-comp.yml කියන ෆයිල් එකට වගේ. Let me know what happens, okay? Patum, we can stop the recording since I'm just fixing some problems with the students.